hour long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's sink or swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. Welcome to the shrimp tank. Want to put it all together, this is big things. Doing big things. We ain't in the same league. Running a campaign, Roadie 2016. Like a phone to die, putting me in charge. I'm a general from the front, I'ma lead the charge. Like a federal, fell on my lap never. Going hard as ever.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode here on the Shrimp Tank, powered by Celsius Beverage. And we have a fantastic event for you today. We just did a ribbon cutting ceremony for this new studio that we just launched here at the Florida Atlantic University. We've done over 320 shows, all done in person. And we just launched this new studio with a student audience. So take a look at this. We're going to pan out and show everybody, all the students lift up those glasses we just handed up. How cool is this? Boca Raton is over 100 years old, right? So we have a special episode today. We have Dr. Kevin Cox, professor, joining us as my co-host as usual, but Jessica Del Vecchio, part of the City of Boca Raton here as well. And she's going to share with us what's going on in Boca in the next 6 to 8 months. There's a lot of exciting events. And we got Thomas DeSernia in the house. Thomas is the founder of SA Company, and he's employed hundreds of students actually at FAU over the last decade and done an amazing job with this local community. So what I'm going to do is kick things off. I'm going to let Kevin say a few words, then Jessica, and then we're going to go right into Thomas's backstory of how he created SA Company and now what he's up to with all his other ventures.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. It is a pretty exciting day to do the relaunch of the Shrimp Tank. It's been a long road to get here, but it's not a bad show.
Not so bad.
No.
How did I twist your arm, to do this 6-7 years ago?
Yeah, and I couldn't think of anybody better to have on the show today than Thomas. Multiple appearances on the Shrimp Tank, and he always has something new going on. So I can't wait to find out and share with all the students what he's up to now. He's had some pretty good success.
I looked it up. March 26, 2019, episode 49. So if you want to go backwards, listen to that episode, and then this episode will be pretty unique, of course.
Whatever you do, don't listen to the first 10 episodes, though, because we had no idea what we were doing.
We were horrible.
Not good episodes. Jessica,
awesome.
What's new with the city?
A lot going on at the city. We have our centennial year, as you mentioned, a lot of events. Boca 100 is our website. We want to get everyone involved. We're working with all our partners. And from a business perspective, we haven't seen the growth that we have seen lately. The last 3-4 years have been pretty explosive, not just for City of Boca Raton, but the whole region.
If students aren't familiar, what is the centennial and what kind of events are going on? What type of opportunities are there? What should they know about?
Yeah, they should know about the website that I just mentioned. There's a lot of events, ways to get involved from a community perspective, but also from the student base, right? They can get involved from volunteering and things like that, or their employers. We can have your employers involved. We really want the whole community to come out and celebrate. There's going to be a concert with a headline concert. There's really a lot going on. We just had Boca Fest kickoff. It was the first event of the year for us, and we'll be celebrating all year long. So check out the website for sure, because things are they're fluid, so they're still coming out with other things.
All right. Well, should we kick this show off the way we usually do? Because I know Thomas has been up to a lot of different things, but what we usually do, we make the students do this in our classes. They have to learn about it, and they have to deliver an expert elevator pitch, right? You've only got 30 to 60 seconds, typical elevator ride, to explain who you are, what you do, and give them a background. You think you can handle that?
You want me to do the elevator pitch?
Absolutely.
About the background?
Yeah.
I can give it a shot.
Introduce yourself
60
and hit them
seconds
with your elevator pitch.
Okay, we're setting a timer. Here it goes.
Set
Go for it. If you get it wrong, you got to treat them all to pizza afterwards.
All right. I could do that.
Okay.
All right.
Stopwatch is started.
All right. Tom DeSernia, Forbes 30 under 30. Sat in your all seats, about 10, 12 years ago. Didn't know what I was doing. Mom and dad said, you have two choices, doctor or lawyer. Hated both of them. Decided to become a dentist. Never made it. While I was in dental school, I invented a product for fishing, took it to market. I thought it was really cool that I had this patent. I thought I was like a millionaire after that. Wrong, failed completely. Instagram just started, and we invented influencer marketing. And I found out that the patented product wasn't selling. So I turned to apparel. And I found if I could sell the apparel for half the price the retailers were, maybe people would want to wear them, because people were buying these really expensive shirts and then they were wearing them to dinner and not wearing them to go fishing and hunting. So that was it. Took it to market, did my influencer marketing on Instagram primarily. We scaled the business to around $30 million doing that. And then Mark bought Instagram. He changed the algorithm to chronological. TikTok's kicking butt right now and everyone's really excited about that, but that will change when they monetize it. And once they did that, I learned how to advertise on Facebook and I brought it over to Instagram. And we just kept on building the business around the consumer and scaled it to over $100 million, about 400 people. And we are spinning off multiple brands now and working with friends and family. And the loyalty has been amazing and the fun. We've been having a really good time. So pretty appreciative. And, it's been a hell of a ride so far.
Okay.
Awesome.
You got at 1 minute and 23 seconds.
All right. So
everyone's getting
just
free
under 90
pizza on
seconds.
top.
Just
Yeah.
under 90 seconds.
All right, so
Good
hold
job.
on a minute.
I thought that was like 5 minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
That did not feel like a
It
minute.
would take me all day to explain my whole story, but
Yeah.
that was a good one.
Well, let's go back for a minute because I think we got a new piece of information in there that I'm not sure was covered on the last podcast. What was this fishing product that you patented that it turned out that didn't really sell so well?
I was trying to figure out how to not go to school. So I'd walk around and just try to think of ways to solve problems. I was out fishing one day and the fishing rod scarred the boat up. And I was like, there has to be a protective cover for a fishing rod. It's a really boring product. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? We actually called it a condom for fishing rods, but we took it to market and nobody knew what it was. And it failed pretty bad. And I knew I had to go back to school after that and keep studying. And thankfully, my wife today, high school sweetheart, met her at West Boca High School. We took classes here at FAU together. She's like, you need to look at social media and try that out. And I was like, what's Instagram? Nobody does Instagram. And it was one of our main drivers to build our business.
Yeah, that's a great point. Work with so many entrepreneurs and inventors that want to get that patent, right?
Yeah,
And you get
exactly.
it's from the United States Patent Office. You get a nice frame. You get this long number because there's so many patents. One of the things I teach students and founders I work with is, inherently patents themselves don't have any value whatsoever. They're not worth anything. Now, does that mean none of them are worth anything? No, absolutely. But inherently, the patent itself isn't worth anything. It's the market value, and that's determined by the market value of the product.
Yeah.
And if the product's kind of meh or kind of nah, then the patent is equivalently not valuable. And they can be expensive to get. So a lot of times I say, maybe we just go to market and see if this thing will sell.
I think the most important thing building a business is driving demand. We're demand creators all across the board. And I think for us, if you can drive demand for your company, I don't care what you're selling, you can sell anything. And I think for us, that's what we really
Can you share the story about the brick that you shared with me yesterday?
Yeah.
When you told me that story, I was blown away. And I was like, really? I'm like, people were purchasing bricks?
Yeah. So we were in a weird spot for the brand. We couldn't get it to keep scaling. And we maxed out the social channels, the search channels, the products, and the team was pretty disheartened. And I was like, all right, what can I do to kind of motivate them? So I drove to Home Depot and I bought a brick. And I went to this laser etching company that was like two units down from the one we were at. And I said to the guy, can you laser etch into this brick? And he's like, yeah, sure. What do you want to write? I said, write, if you throw this and it lands, go fishing. And it was like an Instagram meme at the time. And we put it up for sale and we sold I think it was like over 500 bricks. We never shipped a single brick and we refunded everybody. But the point is like, I told my marketing team, like, look, now you can sell bricks. If you can sell bricks, you can sell anything. And it gave them a little pep and a little pop and they were really excited. So the brick story was a big turning point for our brand to just, prove that you can, keep marching forward, keep growing that thing.
So let's go backwards. How do you go from zero revenue to your first million? Right. I think that's the hardest thing for an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And then the next stage is like 1 million to 10 and then 10 to 100.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that 0 to 1 million for a moment, like what you went through in those early days.
Yeah.
And what were those early days?
I mean, I was like 20 at the time. I don't know how old you all are, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I just knew that I really wanted to help change lives some way or another. I wanted to impact. My goal was to impact 1 million lives. That's what I had going through my head. So I think like you have to figure out, like, I look at tops down, bottoms up approach. My top down approach was like impact 1 million people. Right. And when I was building my brand, money's a big, obviously, depending on what vertical you're trying to go into, money's a big issue, right? If you don't come from money, my dad gave me what he could. And I think for me, just because it's your first business doesn't mean it's gonna be your last one. So I think it's important for everyone to know that, like, you can build your first great business. take some chips off the table, make some money, and then go and invest into the next business. It just may take a little longer for you. So for me, I chose a business that was, not as cash intensive. And we did pre-orders, and we put it out for sale. We would sell the product, and then we'd take all the capital in, reinvest it by the product, and we would just keep compounding the growth.
Can you explain some of the products so everyone in the audience really
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
So this was the SA brand that I had. So it was more just apparel. And then we'd have like influencer marketing of today, like how you see people posting about products. That's what we did. So we had like 80 to 90 Instagram pages at the time. Today we have over 100, TikTok pages running. But what we do is we have one person post about your product, and then we would post about that person, so they would also get a benefit from it as well. And then the whole goal was to drive that product to the website and sell the product. And
Kevin, what are your thoughts about this? Because this is like a saturated market, and most of the time people always say, like, don't go into spaces where there's so much saturation. And he did apparel, right? And then like just doing it differently through influencer marketing. Obviously today, like influencer marketing is everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I tell students and young entrepreneurs, don't be overly concerned and overly overwhelmed by competition, right? Like all great markets are going to have competition. There's going to be different brands. There's going to be different styles. There's going to be different price points. What really happens is there's always space in these big markets for some entrepreneur to carve out space of their own, and they can do it in several unique ways. He did it on the marketing angle, but it could have been the design, it could have been the functionality. There's always a way to kind of carve out a niche, in my experience, unless, right, it's the industry structure. Some industries are notoriously challenging, and then like Thomas said, that means they're going to be very capital intensive, right? So a good example might be a beverage. We've got some beverages right here. They're hard to bring to market because there's a couple major players, and they dominate the shelf space. And sure, you as an entrepreneur could be, forget about that. I'll sell these energy drinks that I created direct via the internet. Well, unfortunately, that's not necessarily where consumers buy those things. So you need to be in gas stations and grocery stores and convenience stores. And there's some serious industry constraints with two major global players. Of course, that said, if you can figure it out, those players have a high likelihood of buying your brand, and you can sail off into the sunset. But it's going to be tough. But that's more of an industry structure thing than a crowded marketplace.
Yeah, I think, like, I just want to jump on that. I agree, but at the same time, like, I'm first generation wealth, right? So for me, I went up against like Bass Pro, like the big boys. And it was a multi-billion-dollar. So if I had like 0.25% of that market, I was really happy. I think what we can't get caught up on is like investors look at like big, like I would say like these, like you said, like the market and the growth of the market and to be able to penetrate. I never really cared. I was just like, at the end of the day, if I can sell my units and I hit my number, I was always really happy. I think that if you were going for the big number you're trying to sell, I think it's just a very different avenue, and you just have to know which way to go.
Yeah, and you already said the right way to approach this stuff is bottom up.
Yeah.
How many of these units can you sell this month and next month and next month? One thing that not all, but new entrepreneurs have a tendency to do is take a really, really big number and then multiply it by a really small number and just say, see, right? So they'll take, 30 billion and say, if I just have 1% of that, I got a $300 million company. And it's like, okay, true on the arithmetic. How are you going to get a 300 million? Like,
how are you going to get your first million?
Three.
Yeah.
First million.
Yeah.
How do you get your first $3?
Well, let's jump into that. How did you go from $1 million to 10 and 10 to 1 million? Did you bootstrap this whole business? Did you eventually raise capital? Kind of give us the next journey.
So I bootstrapped it from zero. I never had an investor. Did it all myself. I think as we were growing and compounding off the growth, we never had any money. So we were driving a lot of dollars. So it was really cool to see like, oh, we made $1 million this month, but we didn't have any actual money like in the bank, right? Because we were just I didn't know what I was doing, just to be fair. Like I had a $30 million company at one point, and I'm like, there's something wrong because I have no money in the bank. And I would call the accountants and stuff, and we found out that we weren't doing accrual accounting, we were doing cash accounting, not to get confused. But long story short, it was the wrong type of bookkeeping. And I found out, like, in order to really scale this business, and that's where it came in, the market. Like, how do you get from doing a 10% growth from 3 million, right, and making an extra 300,000 is very different than doing 100 million and making an extra 10 million, right? Yeah. So I think for us, like, you have to look at where you're advertising the product, right? Like, and then you have to look at your lifetime about like your customers coming back to buy over and over again. Like you think about today, like we all use toilet paper constantly, right? But no one really thinks about how much you buy toilet paper or toothpaste, right? So those people don't really care about the first purchase. They just know you need to come in and keep repurchasing our product. So we just got to place our product there. So I think for me, I had to understand like, which way are we going? Are we trying to chase the first purchase with new product, or are we trying to keep the customer we have with, let's say, different styles for that same product? So the way we expanded was, the short answer was product. We went international, which had its own challenges, and then different platforms to advertise on per se. We never got to TV, but we really beat up the internet pretty good.
And all this was done, and all these employees, or at least the overwhelming majority of it, was done right here, right around the corner in the city of Boca Raton. So since we've got Jessica here, that's convenient from the city.
Jessica's doing great.
What was it like? How was it doing business in Boca? What are the positives or negatives? You know,
I think the only negative to Boca is the parking per 1,000 square feet. I would say, because we'd have like 200 people in our warehouse. We'd have like 200 people in our warehouse, but our warehouse was only like 40,000 square feet, so we can only fit like 80 people. But I'm a West Boca kid, so for me, I grew up hunting, fishing, and bonfires. I went to West Boca, Loggers Run, Sandpiper Shores. I think Boca is amazing. I really take advantage of the what it has to offer. The Jessica and the team are beyond amazing. When we needed stuff, I'd reach out to her. I'm like, Jess, we need to figure out this parking. We need to figure out this new warehouse, and she'd be on it for us. So Boca's been very supportive. COVID was a huge thing for us. I think for me, for giving back to Boca, regardless of we worked hard like in these podcasts or going in to some of the things like the police department had. The COVID was big, and the city of Boca got behind us, and we were able to really help them out. So I think ultimately, and it's safe, and the food's great, and traffic's amazing, and it's clean, and it's pretty, and it's easy to attract talent because people want to work and, in a beautiful, go home into a beautiful area. So, I mean, I would never not grow a business out of Boca, even if I had to take some type of margin hit per se. I don't really care. I just like it that much here.
Yeah.
He has a great culture too. I remember the first time I came to your warehouse, you had people taking skateboards to work, and they're out front, they're playing things, and it was really
we
cool
had Nerf
energy.
Wars, a lot of Nerf Wars.
It was a really good vibe, and I think that's how you attract talent, and you keep the talent, and you hired a lot of people that you knew.
Yep.
Especially from the beginning. But what I remember most was how humble you were, right? And being a homegrown hero, if you will. But I remember you doing all this amazing marketing. It looked like so advanced, right? You had all these photos and all these videos. You were ahead of the game. So years ago. And you did it all in Boca Raton. And I had this sense of pride, like looking at the videos. I'm like, oh, I know what park they're at. I know where they're at with that video, on the boat.
Oh, that's right. We shot all the content. Yeah.
It was the content was
fun.
so Boca. It was so amazing. And that's how you cut costs from one perspective, but it shows you how beautiful. And
it does make it easy being a fishing and hunting brand and living here. That's for
Florida.
Sure. Yeah.
So cool.
So we've got a bunch of students here in the audience. I know you hired some of them, quite a few over the years. What are your thoughts and opinions of FAU alumni quality as employees?
I think it's great. I mean, listen, I don't really hire on, I never hired on resume. I always hired on like loyalty and hard work and gut. And if you I've hired plenty of people literally like worked in a 7-Eleven, like as long as they had that. So for FAU, you're all ahead of the curve here. I'm not just saying that because I'm on the show. It's a real deal. They do a good job here. And you guys are I think you guys have a leg up compared to the rest of the community, around the United States, just because of the area you live in. So no, it's pretty good. I mean, we never had any negative here. There's one person in the audience that actually was with our brand. So it's good to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you since exited that company? Did I read that right?
Yeah. So we got pretty big. I mean, we were over 100 million, and I was like, man, this thing is getting away from me a little bit. We had, over 100,000 square feet and warehouses everywhere. It was chaos. And I'm like, I think I need to bring in some people that have done this before, been around the block, give me some advice. We did that. And then that company, I sit in a minority role now and just an advisory role to help that business keep propelling forward. But we've exited that recently, and it's been good. I'm happy with the decision, but I think ultimately now we spun off some really fun stuff. I have a marketing agency we built during the growth of SA, and we have a bunch of other direct to consumer brands that are being advertised and marketed through that agency as well. So I'm able to follow my passion, which is building businesses. That I kind of get bored after a while, after you're just doing the
So
same
do
thing
I, man.
over and over again.
That's why I love working
True
at our
entrepreneurship.
accelerator here
Yeah.
on campus. It's
Yeah.
like they're here for a year, and then it's a whole new class of a bunch of new startups.
I tell people I'm a dog chasing a car all day. So that's how I feel about it.
Oh no, Jason's got props.
There we go. I got some props here. I gotta give kudos to my co-host Kevin Cox, because this book came in the mail yesterday, and this is South Florida's Innovate book that just was released by South Florida Tech Hub. And here we go, Mr. Cox, fourth page in.
It's a nice picture.
And he's throughout this book like 20 different times. Jessica, you're part
Wow.
of this book as well.
Yes.
And it just shows like FAU's doing different things, right? So many universities just kind of continue the same way because people keep paying tuitions and there's a lot of rules. And I love how Kevin, took us up on this opportunity 7 years ago when I knocked on his door and I was like, let's start a podcast. I just moved down here from New York. He's like, let's run with it. And Thomas came in episode 49. We did it in our studio, and how far we've come along in those 6-7 years now that you're the director of the Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. And just like, look at what we've built here. We have a student audience, and Kevin's class now reports to the Shrimp Tank every single week, and it's part of their curriculum. And the value of these students are receiving by listening to real life stories is incredible. And I think this is going to be a new venture, a new chapter for us, because more universities are going to see where street smarts and book smarts collide and how impactful the studio is going to become. And I bet you more are going to knock on your door to say, hey, how do we do this at our university?
Yeah.
And
it's
incredible. So kudos to you for
thank
saying
you.
yes to me, I guess.
Yeah, I just try to stay focused on practical applications and educations, right? Like if you want to learn how to start a business, you want to learn about business. I don't spend a ton of time on theory, and then through the center and through the tech runway, our accelerator here, I just try to do some things that are unique. I mean, we definitely maintain a level of the things that all kind of colleges and entrepreneurship centers do for the students in here. We have our business pitch competition coming up, like all schools do that. So yeah, I'm going to do that stuff, but then I'm going to try to do things that are unique, right? And I've got great instructors like Patch, he's brought in his class today, and a bunch of other ones that support the initiatives. And like, what college or university has a podcast? Live? None. We also launched a Spanish language boot camp. We have our veterans program that's not for students, it's for any veteran. We teach the boot camp to the community here, whoever it may be. So I try to continue to do those things that are unique and innovative to the extent I can. I do sometimes get in a fair amount of trouble around here. There's a lot of rules, There's, and forms and
And I'm always pushing you. Pushing you not to follow those rules.
Yeah.
Even you, Jessica, I
forgiveness.
push you. I
I
got
know.
you in trouble too. I
I'm
got
all
both
right
of
with
these
that.
people
I
in
like
trouble.
it.
Jessica's allowed to
Remember
break
that
the
big
rules.
event that we did at City of Boca?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my God.
that was supposed to be in the center of Meisner Park, and we got to the
Last
finish line
minute,
until
I know.
downtown CRA said, "What are you
Nope.
doing in the city of Meisner?" Well,
Yeah.
we got 8 other approvals and licenses to do this. And we moved at the Boca Center, of course. But we
It
still
was
pulled it
still a
off.
great.
We still
It was
pulled
a
it off.
great event. Yep. That's what makes you guys so good. You're unstoppable.
Yeah,
You
We
hear
just
no,
don't say we
you
don't
just,
take
like,
no.
You don't take no.
Remember that? Like you literally said no. Everyone called me no. I go, well, I could do
We're
it somewhere
doing it.
else.
Yeah.
Like we got
Yeah.
Celsius on board, we got Thomas on
Yeah.
board,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other businesses. I go, we already have the foundation. I just called up Boca
Moved
Center
it.
and I was like, can I do it here?
And
they're
they
like,
loved
yes.
having you.
Yeah, they
so
did. It
it's
was
good.
incredible.
Well,
I
go ahead.
I just wanted to commend you on everything, right? I think this is such a great opportunity for the students. We didn't have this back in my day, as they say, but we didn't have the opportunity to hear from entrepreneurs and innovators. It was really, I never thought about starting my own business because I wasn't exposed to it. So you guys are really lucky. And they owe a lot of that to you. I think you do a really
Yeah,
good
you two
job.
have done a great job with this.
Really amazing.
You really
Well, it
have.
keeps us busy, if nothing else.
That's
Way
right.
too busy.
And
I've
It's
had
a lot of
calls.
fun.
I've had multiple calls from people that love this and have been inspired by it.
Yeah.
By the way, just let
Mhm.
you know, I get called because they're like, "Oh, I saw you on episode. What do you think?" And I'm like, keep watching the episodes. Like, we learned so much from that, and it's really cool to see. So great job.
Thank you.
The
Appreciate
impact
it.
you're making.
All right, enough about that. I know there's some questions out there. Come on up and ask
Okay.
Thomas anything
This
you
is it?
want. I'm going to ask him.
Students,
we go.
come on up. Just line up right here. I'm going to move a mic and ask a question.
I don't know if
Come
I
on
wanna
up.
ask.
Somebody
Well,
come up.
While we do that,
There will be prizes if you come up and
Just
ask
send
a
the message.
question.
Just send the message.
all right, and I'll kick one off with a tough question, but come on down. Make
Oh,
your ways
man.
down. So you're doing a little bit of kind of family office, new company investing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I hear a lot of pitches in my office.
Mhm.
What's the worst pitch you've heard so far? And
Oh,
will you tell us what it is?
Oh man, I just think when people just like start off with like where they're gonna be without any actual like way of getting there, I think is mine. Forgot which one it was. I think I had a dog brand come up to me once, and he hit me with like, we're gonna be in every retail store in the next like 365 days. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I asked him one question, was like, how do you make enough inventory for that? And how long does that take? He's like, well, the inventory takes about 6 months to make. I'm like, how do you do that? And he didn't know how I felt bad. I was, I'm always trying to provide motivation. My mantras are motivation, value, and inspiration to others. So I was like, all right, I got to take a step back and help him out. And long story short, it took him 4 years, but he got there and he's doing a really good job. So it was nice. It was a little bit of a 180.
Yeah, a little bit of a skirt the question, but we'll allow it.
I didn't really have any that bad, but that was.
Oh,
that was
you
my
will.
way.
You will.
Okay, we have
nice.
our first student of the day going to ask you a question, Thomas.
All right. So I got a question. My question is, did you use some sort of business building process at the start? For example, in one of my classes, I learned about the initial lean canvas.
Okay.
And all kinds of different sections where you state a problem along with a solution to the problem. For example, I heard that you did the fishing pole equipment where the cover, basically the condom for the fishing pole.
Yeah. No, that's exactly how I explained it.
But
I hope you didn't market it that way.
We kind of we did. We did actually.
But so it's an issue you probably ran into with your fishing poles.
Yeah.
Did you know anyone else that ran into that same issue that you ran into before you made that pole?
Oh man,
The cover.
Other people you're saying building businesses?
Other people building, like for example, your friends.
Yeah.
Probably you've done fishing. Probably you have friends that did fishing as well. I was wondering if they ran into the same issues with the fishing pole.
Nothing that I can call out like specifically, but I would say like that is the entrepreneurship piece, right? Is like knowing like there's a big saying of like you got to know when to stop kind of thing, and then change directions and making sure. And it's always scary to know when to stop because like you could be they call it 3 feet from gold kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately so the answer directly is no. I haven't had that other than helping my friends and family just say, hey, try this out instead.
All right.
But that's what I would say to you is like that's the piece of being an entrepreneur. That's the fun of it. And I think
just creating with something that no one else really thought about.
And I think it's like don't take it so seriously. Like you're building a business to have fun and build. And just if you look at it in that light, I think time goes by faster and it's more fun and you're more creative. You don't stress out too much. Keep your responsibilities low.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, here we
Another
go.
professors
This
are
is
killing
exciting.
me today.
Yeah, we gotta get Patch
Can
on
you
the
try
show.
to-
All right. Well, just quickly. So you're talking a lot about content. So one of the things that I think is probably a challenge is you invented or were a pioneer in creating content, but now there's so many resources to create content.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion on right now? I hear a lot of, I'll just have AI do that.
Yeah.
And so if there's in my what I've seen and what I've heard is if there's so many people using AI to make so much content and it's all out there, how do you differentiate yourself? And then kind of stepping back a little bit, now that it's AI, not just AI, but influencing has already been kind of pioneered
Correct.
and out there. I've sometimes had speakers come to my class that said, well, I started out when this internet came out. And so students are like, well, that's kind of already passed.
Yeah.
Or I started out in your case when Instagram was just coming out.
Right.
Now it's so AI is saturating the process. So I'd love to hear your comments on how to negotiate that. And then how can students essentially be informed by the newness of what you discovered? What's new out there now, in your opinion, that they can discover and learn from your experience?
No, it's great questions.
Yeah.
You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock it out.
I'll take 90.
We are big users of AI to answer that question. We break up. So content for us is video on social, just so everyone knows. So like we look at our videos in 3 pieces. So like the intro, the body, and the end. And then everything's thumb stopping. So like you all know when you're like flipping through TikTok or whatever, Instagram, Snapchat, they'll be like, oh, hey, look over here, or oh, come check this out. And they got the phone up, or they have the people with the microphones and they're giving like interviews. So I think like you got to find your differentiator first to answer your question. And then we are always changing up the first part of that to like, we're constantly reiterating and seeing like off the data point, like, okay, how long are we capturing that person for and how can we make it better? Is it a color? Is it a gender? Is it what demo do we have to go after? So that's like, I would say you're constantly making iterations and you doing it is how you differentiate yourself, not relying on other people to do it. I think that's like the main key there is don't like just pay somebody and hope they're going to, give a crap. I'm sorry if I can say that. And then the last part is the marketing piece. The playing field never changed. And I think that's the problem everyone runs into. It's like, yeah, okay, iOS 14 hit, sure. Chronological algorithm's gone, sure. But you can keep on iterating and growing. We just launched a brand new brand, a dog treat brand. It's already profitable in 4 months and scaling. You have to just do a really good job of acquiring customers and keeping customers. So the teams of bringing in new customers are a lot smaller than the teams of keeping customers. So I think like just keep the faucet running at a steady pace for a new customer and just really focus on making sure your bucket doesn't have any holes in it. And I think if you do that in time, you'll get your scale and get your growth. And that's really how we beat the internet right now.
Wow, great. Well, if there are any other student questions, I have a question that might be relevant for all the students in the audience for Jessica, as well as for myself.
Nice.
So with the Centennial, the 100-year celebration of the City of Boca Raton that is happening all year long, tons of events, lots of stuff, tons of opportunities, should be a lot of fun. Time for everybody to celebrate. But if there's one event, Jessica, one day, one evening, maybe it's 1 week, that no one should miss, in your opinion, what would that event be?
Well, my brain goes right to the concert. We don't know. There's no announcement on who that will be yet, but there's a lot of things happening.
Do you know who it'll be?
No. But I also go to the drone show because there's something about that just seems so cool to me, the drones and things like that. So I gave you 2 things that you probably shouldn't miss.
Okay. Concert and drone show.
We got drone show.
You got it here first.
We got it out of her.
Okay, looks like we don't have any more student questions, so we'll dive right back into your story, Tom. What keeps you up at night? We see so many entrepreneurs do what you're doing. It looks so awesome on social media, right? But then the truth is, you're a father, right?
Yeah.
You're a husband,
Yeah.
right? You're a son, right? And like just so much really like is happening behind the scenes and stresses you out. I know I run into stress all the time.
Yeah.
As a founder myself, and we want to hear like the roots of like behind the scenes of what's going on. So all the students really kind of understand it's not what they see on social media.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I had phases of the stress that keeps me up at night. I don't know how you all feel about it, but when I was in all your seats, it was more about like, I got to make all this money and I have to be, financially secure. Thankfully, I'm in a place myself personally for my goals that I feel very comfortable there. I think the biggest stress for me now is making sure all of my friends and family continue succeeding as well. So I try to bring as much value to them. I want to see them just as successful or more successful than me. And I think like, as far as the family goes, I think, I want to see my son grow up and, have the opportunities to keep accelerating. So I want to make sure I'm planting the right seeds today for him. Like I took up like, I just learn how to sail or doing things like as a father now that I'm like, well, when he's older and he wants to go hunting, I got to make sure I know all these different places. And so I'm like kind of educating myself a little bit. So he's like, oh yeah, my dad, can do all these things. That's kind of what keeps me up, is just making sure I'm providing more value to friends and family right now.
And what do you do for fun?
Well, now, and again, that's changing a lot, right? We're big Disney people.
Oh, wow.
I bring the whole family to Disney, and right now we've been crushing that every month, and that's been a hell of a good time. And
I'm in shock right now.
Yeah,
Disney, like
I love it.
Like I get there, I'm like line, then another line, then another line, and it drives me bananas. And
I have a great
sometimes you go in the summer and it's like you're just like dripping, and it's just another line.
Yeah,
and you get on like 6 rides the whole day. And I know people love Disney, but I'm just like complete opposite.
I have
like,
a sister.
Give me a hotel.
She books it out. Yeah. She books all the lines out, and we hit it hard. We're boating, we're enjoying Boca, we're going to the resort and having fun. And Jess is doing a good job for us there. And that's it. We're just having fun out here.
All right. I got to just add one last question for me. So on the investor side, I know you're largely focused consumer products, CPG, it sounds like, and that's what your background in, but I imagine you see some technologies. Your company certainly use some technologies. And like I said, you might see some pitches, or maybe it's something you just have at your house.
Yeah.
But what is the most intriguing new technology on the horizon, in your opinion? And be specific. Don't just say AI. That's too much, but it might involve AI.
Yeah, I think anything for us that can consolidate multiple things into one thing, to be honest with you. And I don't mean to be so broad, but
that's fair.
Yeah. I think I'm really looking at that, especially in the direct consumer space, to be able to aggregate all the content, get the information back, spit it out into the advertising on multiple platforms at the same time is really good. At one time we had to do that manually. So I think for us, it makes us faster.
We've got a company coming into the accelerator right now that it's an app for parents. Right. And I was like, oh no. Right. And I have a reputation. Some students in here know it of being the guy who hates apps. Not true. That's fake news. But they are difficult, and I know a lot more about them than most new entrepreneurs. So I do point out the challenges, and they say I hate them. But what theirs does, because I was like, why would they want another app, right? You got to create another account, you got to create another login, do a dual authentication, make a password. Like, it's all become kind of too much. Well, what theirs does, interestingly enough, it integrates into an API into like all the most essential ones that most parents are already using. Yeah.
Very cool.
So it's just one portal. So it's very much what you're talking about. And along those lines, it's like, no, you don't need the other dozen anymore. Now you just have this one.
Yeah.
And you can integrate all those accounts and make things more efficient. I love stuff like that too. I hate all the accounts.
We can help them market that when it's ready. So
yeah.
All
right.
When you say the parents' accounts, kind of explain what you mean by that. Like, I'm a parent. I'm like,
I
what
don't
do you
know
mean?
that much about
What do
it.
you mean?
I don't know.
Like,
that
I go to
much about
Starbucks.
it.
Is it integrating my Starbucks order? Like, what are we talking?
Exactly.
Like my Amazon order? Like,
it's an app. So at this stage, it's basically magic. So yeah, it does all that.
yeah. My 2 cents on apps is, be careful.
We like your app, Jason.
We see so
Yes.
many people join the tech hubs and say, I have the next best app that's going to be TikTok. And I feel like everyone doesn't realize how costly they are. And if you don't have a budget to bootstrap that business, the likelihood is 99.9% of the time you will fail. So I just always tell everyone, proceed with caution. I am the founder of the Owl app, of course, and I've spent my life savings on it. And I've had such a learning lesson the last 4 years building it and scaling it. And you just got to be careful. I have all these relationships, and I have recurring revenue from being a financial advisor. And I've gone through such a wild ride the last 4 years. And I have so much knowledge around apps, but I look at how many people apply to the incubators that are apps. And it's just like, what is the percentage now? Like 50% are apps?
Well, the percentage that gets in now is so much lower because some mean old professor made a rule that you have to have a working prototype.
Good.
Not an idea for software.
I like that.
Ideas for software are kind of dime a dozen. Make the thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Then you can come in.
I like that a lot.
So that seems to fix that.
Yeah, and it comes back to marketing. I mean, you got to figure out how to have a good go-to-market strategy, which is everything that Tom is talking today about. Because when we were talking about the pitch deck earlier, it's like, yeah, you have a solution, right? And this is a problem, but it's like, good luck getting someone to go to the app store and hit the download button, right? What's harder today, do you think? Like to get them to hit the download button or to keep them coming back to the app?
Oh,
because it's both sides right now.
Yeah.
Like I have downloads and then I run into the other issues. Like, oh my God, look, I'm so excited. People are downloading my app every day, but then they literally just create a profile.
Yeah.
And then we see like they never open the app back up. So then there's this whole other side where you get excited, but then getting them back, which Facebook has done a phenomenal job, of course.
Yeah.
Like my phone just keeps pinging that it's Kevin's birthday or Kevin has a new career.
Or Kevin's on Facebook right now.
Kevin's still gonna Jessica. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like something's going on.
That's why Kevin doesn't have Facebook.
That's great.
I wanted to ask a quick question of Thomas before we go, because I'm just truly interested. You went into the new business that you have with the dog food.
Yep.
Do you market it the same way, using the same? I think Patch was trying to ask that as well. Like, do you use the same platforms? Is it Instagram forward?
Yeah, we do. Again, every platform is different for every product. And that's a big thing I want to tell everyone. Like, just because you have a product doesn't mean it's going to work on all platforms.
Right.
Some it works way better than others. This product specifically, we are on all your social channels, and we are treating the marketing the same way when it comes to how we're creating the content and growing that brand. We are really focused though on the repeat purchase.
Yeah.
That's everything right now.
And how do you focus? You mean you sign up on an account?
Yeah, like we're focused on like providing
recurring
value.
orders, like, every month.
Once they get it, we
like
call them.
subscribe?
Yeah, call them, talk to them, make them comfortable. We make sure that we are providing the value, getting the feedback.
Right.
We have like
So
I have a
important.
5-star only policy. So like if people like don't put a 5-star up, like, and it's because of us, I want to make that change. I want to make that fix,
So smart.
Yeah, retention's everything right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, back to the question.
Oh man,
The one that I threw at
I thought
you.
we were good.
The driving traffic or retention. What are your thoughts? Because you do some stuff with us.
Like I
as
said,
well.
I think acquisition. I think first purchase is just a steady stream. Don't try to kill it right away. And I would say just really focus on keeping what they call first party data or your customer coming back. If you can build that oasis, you can really kick butt. And it's been proven in Amazon's flywheel. It's been proven on TikTok, the platform itself, Facebook. That's what those brands are. Their flywheels keep customers coming back. And that's what we try to focus on.
Okay. Final question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Hopefully I'm trying to buy the Boca Raton. That's my goal. That's
All
my
right.
big, hairy, audacious goal from the Del family. Give them a
Wow.
call and maybe try to, and I just want to sit in the beach and just relax out there. And that's it. I love that place. So that's my big, hairy, audacious goal.
Love it.
Okay. Well, sounds
We'll
like
get
we might
there.
have a podcast studio on the ocean one day.
Yeah,
guys.
hopefully.
Yeah.
And an Office of Economic Development.
Yeah, exactly.
Beachside.
We can make this happen. Let's
The
do
place
it.
is getting filled up. You didn't even know
Yeah.
that yet.
If I miss by 90%, I'll be okay.
You're
So
still good.
yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, Thomas, thank you for joining us
Yeah.
here.
Thanks
on
for
the
having
Shrimp
us.
Tank. And
Amazing.
Jessica,
Yeah.
Thanks,
thank you
Jess.
for joining
Thank you
us.
for
This is
having
an
me.
awesome event. And everybody
Awesome.
listening, we go live every single Wednesday right at 1 o'clock. So feel free to
So
tune
cool.
in at Shrimp Tank Boca on socials. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.